SpongeBob SquarePants Mysteries Stage Fright. Chapter 3.
Funny thing about the past, everybody's got one. You, me, Squidward, everybody. Most of the time, the past just stays in the past, nice and quiet, minding its own business. But every once in a while, the past pops up like a wild seaweed in your front yard. You weren't expecting it, but all of a sudden, bam! There it is! The past! Staring you right in the face with its eyes crossed and its tongue sticking out. Sure, you can try running away from your past, but you'll never escape it. So I try. I say whenever the past jumps in front of you, just stand still and soak it up. Who knows? You might even enjoy yourself. We all could use a little dose of past now and then.
SpongeBob was just a young sponge the first time his grandma took him to the Drippy Lane Theater.
What's this place, Grandma?
He asked, his eyes growing wide when he saw the big fancy building. This is a wonderful, magical place, SpongeBob, Grandma said, giving his hand a squeeze as they walked in. You're going to love it.
I am? What are we gonna do here?
You'll see. When they got inside the theater, there were lots of other young Bikini Bottomites standing on the stage. A friendly ladyfish said, Welcome to Little Drip's theater classes. You're all going to learn how to sing, dance, and act. Does that sound fun?
Yes!
All the students cheered. And it was. Young SpongeBob had a wonderful time singing, dancing, and acting in the Little Drips program at the Drippy Lane Theater. Every Saturday morning, his grandma would walk him to the theater for classes, and she'd sit in the back row of the audience watching her grandson beaming with pride. Eventually, SpongeBob even got to perform in the shows the Little Drips put on. He sang, he danced, he acted, and sometimes at night he and his grandma would come back to see the professional grown-ups put on a play or a musical. It was so exciting.
The Drippy Lane Theater,
SpongeBob happily murmured.
Where I was a little drip.
You're still a little drip, Squidward said, not meaning it as a compliment.
Those were the days,
SpongeBob sighed.
Doing theater, being creative, using my imagination, expressing myself. Theater was so important to me, and it's still important to Bikini Bottom.
He sighed.
I loved that old theater, and now my good friend is working there in a show. Wow!
He hopped up and down in place, pumping his fist with barely contained excitement. A guy eating at the next table looked up from his Krabby Patty, sitting so close he couldn't help but overhear. Say, mister, he said brightly, I heard all about that show. Supposed to be a whiz-bang buffalo delight. Word is, King Neptune himself is going to be in the audience opening night. Why, your friend's show is the talk of the town. All the other customers started chattering excitedly. Many of them had heard about the new show too. It was big news in Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob's jaw dropped all the way to the floor. Clunk! He reached down and lifted his jaw back up to his face.
Is that true, Squidward?
He asked, his voice full of awe.
Is King Neptune coming to the opening night of your show?
Nodding proudly, Squidward confirmed the rumor. That's what Mr. Dorado says, so the show's got to be absolutely perfect.
What do you mean?
SpongeBob asked.
Nothing's perfect except maybe this Krabby Patty.
He held up one and sunlight glinted off the seeds of the golden bun. Unable to resist the temptation of this mouth-watering sight, a customer leaped across the room, soared through the air with her mouth open, and swallowed the beautiful Krabby Patty in a single gulp. With a dreamy look in her eyes, she rubbed her tummy in utter bliss and belched loudly. Before crashing to the floor, Squidward rolled his eyes. He didn't think much of SpongeBob comparing the extravaganza he was involved in to a greasy sandwich. Don't you see? If King Neptune likes the show, He'll grant Bikini Bottom a new theater that could revive the downtown arts district. Put Bikini Bottom on the map, bring in lots of tourists and theater lovers, and make me a star, he thought to himself. If Squidward played his cards right, he could quit working at the Krusty Krab forever.
That sounds wonderful! SpongeBob enthused.
Yeah, but if for some reason the show isn't perfect, King Neptune will see Bikini Bottom as a big failure. Just a small town in the middle of nowhere with no decent theater and no fine arts, Squidward said anxiously. Chuckling, SpongeBob patted Squidward's shoulder reassuringly.
But that's not going to happen, Squidward. King Neptune's going to love this show. You've got a big famous director in charge of the show, and you've got you conducting the music. What could possibly go wrong?
Plenty, Squidward said gloomily. In fact, it already has. Stay tuned for chapter 4 coming up soon.